Heather Roberts with ABC News. Just to follow up on what she asked, so the other two roommates were there at the time of the attack?
All the information we have from our investigation is that yes, they were.
Okay, but they were unhurt.
That is correct.
So is there any explanation as to why it took so long then for someone to call 911? You have surviving witnesses to an incident at 3 or 4 in the morning, and the 911 call didn't come until noon?
I don't think I ever said that they were witnesses. I said they were there.
Roberts with ABC News. Just to follow up on what she asked, so the other two roommates were there at the time of the attack?
All the information we have from our investigation is that yes, they were.
Okay, but they were unhurt.
That is correct.
So is there any explanation as to why it took so long then for someone to call 911? You have surviving witnesses to an incident at 3 or 4 in the morning, and the 911 call didn't come until noon?
I don't think I ever said that they were witnesses. I said they were there. So, we don't know why that call came in at noon and not in the middle of the night. Would have we loved for that to have happened? Yes, but that's not how it took place. So that's why we're investigating everything still to try to pull all the pieces together.
We're like, okay, it's an accident. Let's not panic, And I remember texting Kaylee. Seeing if she was okay. And she obviously didn't ever respond because it was 10 in the morning.
Eva is Katie's friend. She got the message in the morning. She said she tried to call Kaylee, but the phone was ringing, and obviously there was no answer. Why would it be obvious that Kaylee wouldn't answer phone? Unless you heard about what happened, Eva. In my opinion, this is all my thoughts, my speculations. This is under fair use purpose. Today I'd like to send out a shout out, love and respect to True Crime Design. She's done a wonderful work in this case, in my opinion. I wanted to use this under fair use purpose, although I've played this part from the ABC News plenty of times. This is Kaylee's best friend, and she said she found out about the tragedy in the morning. It sounded like she said 10 a.m., 10 in the morning, but she clearly says morning. The police were not called till noon. So the sorority girls and the friends knew what happened. Why didn't they call 911? I'd like to play this from True Crime Design in his channel under fair use purpose, because I wanted to talk about Dave. Dave was the young man who said he got text messages, the Snapchat, Instagram, everything was running wild. This is before the police came, guys. So the college students found out, most likely through the frats or the surviving roommates. But nobody decided that it was necessary to call 911.
Accident. Let's not panic, And I remember texting Kaylee. Seeing if she was okay. And she obviously didn't ever respond because it was 10 in the morning.
Now let's go back to my last clip that I just made about the neighbor, Xana, who took an interview with JLR Investigates And he told him that he could see from his window the girl's driveway. He said at noon there were ambulances and police cops outside 1122 King Road. So I was wondering when the Vandal alert was put out. I know that they put out 2 Vandal alerts. One was at 1:04, the first one, and there was another one out at 3 in the afternoon, in my personal opinion. At least that's how I looked at this case as. There was 2 Vandal alerts. So if the neighbor saw the ambulances and the police outside, that gave the cops and 911 exactly an hour and 4 minutes to remove the 4 victims out of the house with the ambulances, in my opinion. So I don't know what the coroner meant by the bodies can't be moved until she gives the go. I can believe that, definitely. Could it be possible that there was another medical coroner there? Or was it an emergency situation that the police had to quickly remove the 4 victims and drive them to the hospital?
PD investigating a homicide on King Road near campus.
Something really bad. He said, I think Ethan's dead. And then we walked out into the courtyard and somebody said that Xana was dead.
My niece said something bad has happened to Kaylee. So then I started calling Maddie.
At this point, we didn't have any answers. Like, we didn't know anything.
It was Sunday around
We were watching football.
1-ish, and we were
Like
watching
every
football.
family, or a lot of families on Sunday.
And
We were
then
watching
our
football.
son was here. Everybody was home except for she was down at her home
We
in LA.
gather.
And my niece called me and she was freaking out. And she said, Christy, have you talked to Kaylee? And I said, yesterday, like last night. And she said, something bad happened. And she was just bawling. And I said, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? And she said, I think Kaylee's dead. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she
All our
said,
stomachs just dropped.
she said there was somebody just called me and they live down there. She said there was a party last night and somebody went in and shot the party up and Kaylee was shot. I was like, what? And I just threw my phone. I threw my phone, I started screaming, I started telling everybody to call Olivia and to get all her roommates on the phone. And I started calling Maddie, and Maddie wouldn't answer, and Maddie wouldn't answer. I said, no, this can't be, because Maddie would have called me. If Kaylee was shot last night at a party, Maddie or Jack would have called me. Like, no, and I kept calling. I called.
So somebody called Kaylee's mom and said Kaylee was shot. It was a niece who called her. The rumors in the beginning were running wild, but the college students would know better than us. I wanted to show you all this. Why does Schwalter look like he was beaten? Every time I zoom in, actually sometimes I don't need to even zoom in, I can see that his face is injured. My biggest issue here with Schwalter is he's carrying blatantly. You can see a long weapon inside his jacket, and you can actually see something like that looks like a KAPPA shape in his pants. Schwalter allegedly had the most motives, and he had 2 targets. One on the 2nd floor, that is Ethan, and one on the 3rd floor, that would be Kaylee, allegedly. If something happened to Maddie, Jack would have called us, is what Chrissy G said, Kaylee's mother. I ain't accusing Jack D or Schwalter of anything. I'm just pointing out the red flags I see. I'm sharing my opinion. Isn't it strange that Schwalter was the first to be ruled out and Jack D was the last to be ruled out? Strange. Who is he texting? It looks like Schwalter is saying something to Kaylee. Pay attention to Schwalter's face. Was he in a fight at the corner club? That's my question. I apologize, this is not one of my clearest pictures. When you zoom in, it turns a bit blurry. Look at his jacket. Is he carrying a weapon? Or could I be wrong? Look at the cut on his face. His mouth looks injured. He can barely open one eye. Could Schwalter come to have taken revenge? What is he carrying in his pocket? I wonder if that is the same item the police found inside Maddie's coat. What is he carrying? Could Schwalter be carrying whatever was found inside Maddie's jacket? Allegedly, he could have followed Maddie and Kaylee home. He looked like he was upset that they left him. Maybe he was supposed to be watching out for them, or maybe he was watching out for the suspects who sent him, in my opinion. Now, what is he carrying in his pant pocket? It's something that is definitely shaped like a KAPPA weapon. And we have seen Jack Schwalter with pictures of KAPPA knives while he was hunting. He's a skilled junior wrestler and he's a skilled hunter. And he has anger management, allegedly, according to all the stories we hear of the people coming forward. Why were so many people accusing either Jack Schwalter, Jack D, or the Davids on the Sigma Chi, is my question. This is all alleged. These are just my thoughts and opinions. Let me know, guys, what y'all think. What is he carrying? Wow. Look at the cut on his face. Did they drag him out of the corner club, allegedly? I wonder what is this gold, silver kind of thing on his jacket. It comes right underneath the weapon. Does it belong to the weapon? Schwalter was the only person who left town, allegedly. Did anyone see him driving to Boise, Idaho? Did they check his car? If he was involved, he had good time to get rid of any evidence, Maybe that's why they never found the KAPPA knife. He was Kaylee and Maddie's neighbor. And I personally believe it sounded like he was threatening Maddie. We're going to get you for that, Maddie. My subscribers and viewers would remember, I'm sure, that I found this clip and I was sent some information from a very close source of mine, Real Eyes Examiner. She's brilliant. She does a lot of research like me, and I find it really annoying that people, YouTube creators, some of the YouTube creators are not following YouTube rules and regulations. We are supposed to say where we get our stuff from. It's about the decency of giving credit where it's due. Everyone knows I've been doing research on the Banfield Boys and Alpha Kappa Lambda Fraternity for a very long time. When I finally got my research together and put it out, it barely took a couple of days for a certain creator to copy the whole stuff without even giving credit. And I find that to be hurtful. I just feel like creators are getting into my account, not my account, getting into my YouTube and just picking up what they want without giving credit. So please stop doing that, or this copyright strikes will come. So this was first from my channel. If you all saw it last night on somebody else's channel, you can go back to my clips. There's a timeline and YouTube can see that when I put it out. Let's meet Nick. Nick is the president of Idaho Moscow University, his son. Scott Green, his son. He's the president of Alpha Lambda or Alpha Kappa Lambda. That is where the 3 Banfield boys are from. Ethan, Peter, and Taylor. One is the Treasury Minister, and the other 2 have some other roles. Nick says, interestingly enough, that he was friends with Xana and Ethan. And I always believed that the Banfield boys came from Xana and Ethan. That's my personal opinion, my thoughts, my speculations. That's why it's important that everyone has their own thoughts and speculations. We can agree to disagree. Not everything I'm saying is correct, and there could be truth in it. I'm just reminding you all the case from the beginning, which we spoke about many times. So we have one important person here, Scott Green's son. He looks kind of nervous. Is it because your 3 Banfield boys was running across the street? Where did they come from? Or furthermore, the 4th of your frat member was Saidas. Where did he come from? Xana and Ethan were his friends, he said. That's the reason I always believed the Banfield boys came from that direction. They looked very nervous, and you could tell they were the age of Ethan and Xana. And if you'll remember, I was the first person who came out with that theory that it was two separate incidents and two separate timelines. I've always said Xana and Ethan were unalived between 2 to 2:15. That's where my research is leading me to. And I spent time researching, analyzing this case. 2:53 is when something happens to Maddie and Kaylee. The reason I say that is because BF and DM, his phone goes silent for 57 minutes after Maddie Morgan, was trying to call BF at 2:53. 2:55, you hear a female yelling, "Stop it, stop." 3:12, you see the figures running. 3:01, you see the black truck passing by Taylor Avenue. It was a busy night.
Keep pursuing my dreams, but it's definitely a lot hard for people to come back, especially after that.
Yeah. Do you think it's brought the community, this university, closer together, or has it fractured the campus?
I mean, I would definitely say it fractured it, as, not a lot of people are here.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's brought us together, especially just the Moscow community and Idaho in general. It's a lot hard for people to come back, especially after that.
Yeah. Campus, I came across a young man who was good friends with Ethan Chapin, and he told me what it's been like to face this tragic loss. Watch.
I knew Ethan and Xana.
What do you remember about them?
They were really good people. I always loved seeing them whenever they were on campus. Ethan was a good friend of mine, so it's pretty sad. But I came back because I still want to keep pursuing my dreams, but it's definitely a lot hard for people to come back, especially after that.
Yeah. Do you think it's brought?
I wonder if Ethan and Xana had beef not only with the Sigma Chi fraternity boys, like the Davids, allegedly, did they have beef with Nick Scott, his frat, Alpha, Kappa, Lambda? Because the Banfield boys were the only ones who were crossing the field to go to their frat, Alpha, Kappa, Lambda. And they looked very distressed, very anxious. A lot was going around at Taylor Avenue. So what if Ethan and Xana were having problems with the Alpha, Kappa, Lambda frat and Ethan's own frat, the Sigma Chi fraternity? Could they have planned this together, allegedly? Just asking. This is Scott Green's son, Nick Green. He's the president of AKA Alpha Kappa Lambda. This is the young man called Ethan Knight. I explained to y'all 2 weeks ago about him unaliving his father through self-defense and the father's dog. He put 4 bullets went into the wall too. And strangely enough, his case was in February 2022, and he was out on bail for $25,000. He was supposed to go back to court a couple of days after the unalivings. Do y'all remember we heard that Kaylee was shot on her face, allegedly? That's what the G family said they heard from the niece. We have a shooter here, allegedly, because he knows how to shoot and aim. His case was a very tricky one because the prosecutors did not believe him. They said it was pre-planned, that he intended to unalive his father, Michael Knight, allegedly. Could it be possible that Ethan could have been carrying, and after they did whatever they did, they could have thrown the weapon in the bushes? Because we saw the police, the detectives, taking out something from Maddie's coat. And the Banfield boys kept on looking into the bushes, if you'll remember. Alpha, Kappa, Lambda is their frats. This was the second young man who was at Banfield, Peter. Reagan. And you have Taylor Parkhill. He's in charge of the treasury in his frats. Alpha, Kappa, Lambda. Last but not least, we have the fourth member, or actually the fifth member of Alpha, Kappa, Lambda, Saeed S. I always believe Saeed came to distract the cops from the Banfield boys. Did Alpha, Kappa, Lambda have beef with Xana and Ethan? Is that why you were paying $6, Saeed? What was going on that night? I personally believe two frats are involved. Alpha, Kappa, Lambda, allegedly, some of the members, and Sigma Chi Fraternity, who were under the microscope. Isn't it strange and weird that the symbols is EX for Sigma Chi, Ethan and Xana? Or is that just me? Somebody has pointed that out to me before from my comment channel. Shout out to whoever did that. Could David Lodge have been watching the girls from his window like he said? I wonder which one is his window. And let's not forget, 1122 King Road hardly had curtains. The girls took this picture in August 2022. Pay attention to the dress DM is wearing, the blue dress. This picture was taken the same day the 5 roommates took the picture outside. That's DM inside the sliding door, inside the house, and Queen Kelly outside. It's sad that the victims are no longer here to confirm that Queen Kelly used to come to the house. Please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know what you think about Alpha, Kappa, Lambda being involved. because I've always had my eyes on the Banfield boys, the Sigma Chi fraternity. These are all my thoughts and opinions, and the surviving roommates. Let's not forget the Jacks. Shout out to Outcasts, Bianca, Once Upon a Crime Time, Murder Mayhem, Nika, and many of the YouTube creators doing all the good work for justice. Guys, please look after your health, both your physical and mental health. Let's pray for these victims to get the correct justice. May they rest in peace. And let's pray for Brian Koberger to get the correct justice too. Everyone's entitled to a fair trial. Innocent until proven guilty. Have a lovely night.